Yeah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. All praises and all honor and all glory unto Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. Salutations to the Akim and the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect. The elect, Shalom, to the Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through their father and have come back to the fold. Shalom to you sisters, you Akwathium, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. This your brother Aram Yahawada with the lesson. And as you can see, this is going into, this Black Lives Matter, because why this lesson is why they want you to be known as Canaanites, right? They want to give you the African culture. So as you could see, it's the, like the basically the Black Panther fist, right? Which they try to symbolize that with African culture, right? Which really that goes back to being an Israelite, but they're symbolizing that with the African culture. You can even see right here where they have this African flag, and yet they put in the rainbow, which symbolizes, debauchery, Moism, right? All the things that's displeasing to the Most High, right? Right? See, it's a badge of pride for them, right? Which is, total opposite of what Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai wants you to be part of. So, but they feed you this narrative and go about it, Yeah, because even when I was little, when you go to these certain churches, they'll give you the narrative of you being African. Well, the guy the guy that helped the Lord carry the cross was an African, so you shouldn't feel so bad because he was one of the ones that helped the Lord to the cross. So though you're African, though you're these descendants of Cain, there's a place in God for you. You know what I mean? Right? And so, and they trying to link you to the Hamitic culture, right? And this is the narrative right here, what they give you, right? It says and Ham, the father of Canaan, right? That's basically what they've been saying. When I was younger, they were trying to say that you so-called African Americans are the seed of Canaan, right? Why no one else has a biblical nationality besides the so-called the Jewish, which that's not even biblical, right? There's never been a Jewish in the Bible ever, right? And then that Jewish only stands for basically one tribe, right? Right? In the land of Israel, the Israelites never referred to themselves as just one tribe. Under the heathens, because the heathens didn't want to, say, okay, this is Judah, this is Benjamin, this is Levi, when they were under the Greeks and the Romans. They just called them Jews, collectively, right? Because all niggas look alike, right? So, but you as the people would never just throw a blanket statement over you. The only no, because even when you say that we're the Israelites, we say that we're the 12 tribes of Israel, and there's 12 tribes with every different manner of fruit or flavor, right? So we would never just blanketly say we're the Jews or we're Jewish, right? Even though technically you could, but us being the people, you would never do that, right? So it says, and let me get back to, let me do it again. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father. What he was doing some freakism, man. right? And told his brethren without, right? Because when you go into this, see, because when you go into this and you really start understanding this Bible, you would know that that law was long ago, right? Way before the so-called 10 commandments were written on stone, which really were 316 commandments, right? You know, the world like to just harp on 10 commandments. He didn't stay up there for 40 days and 40 nights for 10 commandments. That's just ridiculous, right? There's 316 commandments. And one of those commandments is what? The nakedness of thy father or the nakedness of thy mother shall thus not uncover. So it just said that Cain saw the nakedness of his father. And this is back all the way back in Genesis, way before the finger of God writing by the way, was a laser beam, right? The finger of God is a laser beam writing the 613 commandments in stone, right? So it says, so the nakedness of thy father or the nakedness of thy mother shall thus not uncover. She is thy mother, thus shall not uncover her nakedness. The nakedness of thy father's wife shall thus not uncover. It is thy mother's nakedness, thy father's nakedness, like it, right? Which that's what what's his name? Reuben got in trouble about that, right? Way before the law was written on tablets. So you so-called Christians act like the law just poofed and just came out of nowhere, and then, oh, by the way, now the laws are done away with. When people were being judged according to the law before the law was written on stone. So how can it be done away with when Hebrews 8 says that he's going to write them in your heart and in your mind? And that's talking about in the kingdom. The laws. But that's not to just anybody. That's to the so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, the true seed line of Israel, who came back to the fold, who came back understanding that, hey, wait a minute, things ain't what they make it seem to be. We have to be those Israelites, right? Yeah, so this is Matthew chapter 5 verse 13. Ye are the salt of the earth, right? So we realize that without the Israelites there's no flavor, right? There's no flavor in the earth, right? Every genre of music was created by you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indian, right? You know, every a lot of the sports and things that were created, the things that's done, rodeo, hockey, even basketball was created by Jakes, by you Israelites, right? The car, the computer, the cell phone, all these things that people use on a day-to-day basis, and things that they do on a day-to-day basis, created by the so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, man. The Israelites, right? But it says, but if the salt have lost his savor, right? Which at one point in time, what we've lost our identity of knowing that that the earth was created for our sake. We forgot about that, right? Through the slaveries, the different re-education, the what is it called? The Lord said, what gross darkness upon the earth, right? Through that we lost and didn't know that we were the Israelites. So we lost that savor, that, you know what I mean? wherewith shall it be salted, right? So how could the world be directed in the way that it should go? Because the Lord said that what? All nations are to flow unto the Israelites. That's why the whole earth is out of course, because it's what? It's under the Edomite, man. The Edomite that want to lie and tell you that you're a descendant of Ham. But how is that possible when you look at our track record of all the things that we created? They just put a thing on, what is it, Netflix of Madam T.J. Walker or whatever it is. But she created all sorts of curling irons and different hair products and you know, the hot comb, right? Creativity, man. All these things come from you Jakes, you Israelites, you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, man. Right? It says and it is thenceforth good for nothing, and cast out. And we were cast out of our land, right? First the northern kingdom was cast out, went into Assyria, and then they left Assyria and came to Arzareth, and Arzareth being known even to Christopher Ball Cologne, right, as the place that he came, which is now known as America. He knew about Arzareth, right, which is basically what? Turtle Island, which they also call it what? New Canaan, right? Because it was a blessing that the Lord gave the Israelites this land, right? The northern kingdom. And the thing about New Canaan, it's still under those same stipulations as the old Canaan. And now you created so many abominations in New Canaan. Now the Lord has to put you out. He has to cast you out of the New Canaan. The same way we got cast out of old Canaan, you're gonna get cast out of this New Canaan. And to be and to be trodden underfoot, right? And we went underfoot of all these different nations through the transatlantic slave trade, right? Shipped all over the place. You so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, right? You were put on cargo slave ships and transported around the world in slavery, right? As prophesied by Moses, that will happen when you were disobedient. Ye are the light of the world. See, and ultimately what the Lord is going to bring us back, starting with the elect, because we are the light of the world, man. The world is supposed to come unto us and get the understanding of the Most High and how to act and how to follow the law, statutes, and commandments, because they're not done away with, right? And so ye are the light of the world, a city, right? What city? Jerusalem or Jerusalem, right? Jerusalem, right? The city of peace, because we're going to bring peace to the earth, man. First, hey, they like order out of chaos. That's ultimately what the Lord's going to do. Order out of chaos. Because the Lord said we should dash these nations into pieces first. As a potter dashes the clay, man. Ye, a city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden, right? And ultimately, the Lord set us up. The world was made for the Israelites' sake, and the Lord's not gonna have it hid us in darkness forever. He's gonna raise us up, right? Yeah. So this is Isaiah chapter 60 verse 1. Arise, right? When you arise, you're arising up, right? Coming out of that the dust, the confusion, the bottom, the ghettos, the vadios, the reservations. Shine, right? Shine. It just said you're a light on the hill that can't be hidden, right? For thy light is come. See, and now the Lord's gonna bring it back to where that light and the glory of Yahweh, right? Because we represent Yahweh's name, right? Written Yahweh's name will be written upon our minds, written upon, and Yahweh Shai's. Yahweh Yahweh Shai will be written upon our mind spiritually, signifying the ownership of the Israelites, man. Yahweh is risen upon thee, right? For behold, which means feast your eyes, look, pay attention. The darkness, right? Because that's what everybody's in, right? Darkness. You didn't know who you were. You cast out of that land, and which a lot of you are going to be cast out of this new Canaan, right? Via what do you call it? Concentration camps, plagues, famine, wild beast, and ultimately the ICBM missiles, right? For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, right? Which is talking about that confusion, darkness, confusion, right? Not knowing, and gross darkness, like it's going to be a heavy confusion. Why? Because it says Satan shall be loose and shall deceive the world again, right? Through the Renaissance, right? Which means the rebirth of what? The Edomites, Esau, Edom, right? His descendants, what? To deceive the earth again, right? And then gross darkness, the people, right? All the people upon the earth, right? Except for the elite on the left hand and on the right hand knows what's going on. And when it comes to you being the elite on the right hand, you can't know what's going on until the Lord taps into your cerebellum, into your third eye, and allows you to cross over from darkness into light, right? But Yahweh shall arise upon thee, right? Which is talking about the elect, those who are meant to get the understanding, and his glory shall be seen upon thee, right? Upon the what? The Israelites, and the Gentiles shall come to thy light. See, the Gentiles are supposed to come to us, man. We're not supposed to accept just the status quo of you're African, right? Right. And the kings to the brightness of thy rising. See, we're going to be risen back up, man, back into that right and proper place on the earth, man. And all the kings of the earth, everybody has to come and flow into the Israelites, man. So these are the one things that we know. Because we're looking at things like, wait a minute, we're the salt of the earth. Every genre of music, everything. Matter of fact, yeah, Jeremiah 10 and 16. The portion of Jacob, right, which is you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians. We are Jacob, right? It's not like them, and you got to think about the so-called Mexicans, the so-called Puerto Ricans, the so-called Guatemalans, and Colombians, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Cubans, right? You so-called African American, so-called Jamaican, so-called Haitian, right? We're not like the rest of these people, man. But who are we like? A lot of our customs intertwine with one another, right? So we know that we have to be those same people. We're the Israelites, right? For he is the former of all things. So we know that what all things came from us, man. Right? Because I believe they were saying something about even flight, the plane. I forgot, that was someone I first came into the truth. I think they said it was two brothers that was in Brazil that actually flew the first plane. I'm going to have to look it up, but, you know, these are things that they don't give Jake credit for. The elevator, You know, Jake created the mass production of shoes. Jake created that, right? You know, says and Israel is the rod, right? Which we're gonna judge the world, man. We're gonna be the rod that break these nations into pieces and force them to obey the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. It ain't gonna be they just gonna come to us, because as you can see, they got a disdain for you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, man. They'll pretend and smile only to make you feel like you're more superior than the so-called black man. But at the end of the day, look where you're at. You're in the goddamn reservation, and I've been to reservations, man. My wife is a Apache. I've been to the Apache reservation. Looks like a goddamn third world country. But somehow, if the white man smile in your face, you're better than the so-called black man. I've been in some of these videos. They look like third world countries, but somehow you're better than but that's the thing called what, divide and conquer. We're the Israelites, man. So-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians. Right? And the Lord said that the ones who come back and repent are going to be the rod of his inheritance. Well, we're going to dash these nations into pieces, man. Yahweh, the of hosts, right, which means armies, is his name, man. Yeah. So this is Revelation chapter 2, verse 25. Yeah, and this is one of my favorite verses in the Bible, which they're all my favorite, but this is one of my favorite, right along with Psalms 2, right? It says, but that which ye have already hold, right? Hold, keep watching, keep paying attention, keep holding on to it, meditating on it, right? Fast till I come. And fast means to hold on to something, right? To continue to do it, right? Because that's what like a fast is like. When you do a fast and you don't eat, it's basically you continuing not to eat. Because if you eat, then you're no longer in a fast, right? So you have to just stay continuous within what you're doing. You know, hold fast till I come, right? And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, right? Which we're coming really close to the end. To him will I give power over the nations, right? They can all flow into us. So we start thinking about how they want to throw you in a thing and just wrap you up in a thing and try to give you, oh, you're Ham. You're the Canaanites, right? Which I'm going to go back to that right now. Because, you know, just some thoughts came, so I just went into it. So hopefully I'm too all over the place, but, you know, and he shall rule, right? Talking about you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians. He shall rule, he being what? Us as a nation, being one-minded. Not that all 12 tribes is the same person, or God and his son, or Yahweh and Yahweh Shai is the same person. No, we're just all on one accord. Even Yahweh Shai said it. I in them, you in me, being what? One-minded. I in you, you in me, I in them, which is basically saying, look, we're all going to be one-minded. Right? So it says, Salakia, you know, so Lord said, give power over the nations, and he shall rule, right? Rule them, who? The nations, with a rod of iron, as a vessel of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I have received of my Father, right? Which is separating them. Because you got to be two separate beings to receive something from someone else. So the Lord and you know what I'm saying, our Lord, who got spoke to by the Lord, my Lord came into my Lord, you know what I'm saying, and said, sit down. You know what I mean? Because the Lord, the Most High, Yahweh, is the Lord, but then our Lord being Lord, right, the one who rules over us, which is Yahweh Shai, is two separate things, man. not the same energy. You're not the same person, but on one accord, on one mindset. All power and inspiration comes from the Most High, man. Yeah, so it says Genesis chapter 9, I'm gonna go 23, and Shem. So basically, let's just go back over it real quick, because Ham, the father of Canaan, right, which that's what they want to give you to be you the Canaanites, saw the nakedness of his father, right, which you're doing some Moism, right? Right? And then we already seen it. You're not supposed to see the nakedness of your father, right? And we know that the first society, right, to do man with man, woman with woman blatantly was what? Sodom and Gomorrah, which was a Hamitic society, right? Yeah, saw the nakedness of his father and told his brethren, and Shem and Japhet took a garment and laid it upon him, laid it upon both their shoulders, and went backwards, right? Because you're not supposed to see the nakedness of your father. So he put it on their shoulder, so that way they can't look, to keep them from looking at it, at his nakedness. They went backwards and covered the nakedness of their father, and their father and their faces were backwards, and they saw not their father's nakedness. See, that goes. You're not supposed to see your father's nakedness, right? Going back into was it Leviticus, right? And Noah awoke from his wine, right? Because he was happy. He drunk wine, got drunk, and hey man, went to sleep, man. Nothing feels more better than hey man, just being happy and drinking a little yayan, and hey man, going to sleep. But this ain't a good sleep, right? And Noah awoke from the wine and knew what his youngest son had done unto him. And he said, "Cursed be Canaan." So he didn't curse Ham, he cursed Canaan, which Cain is a Hamite. He's a Hamitic coming from his father, right? A servant of servants. So that this is the narrative that these Christian churches, I remember when I was young, they'd be like, see, this is where you guys come from. See right here in the Bible, it says you guys are Canaan, right? A servant of servants. See, this is why you're in slavery. See, this is why you're beneath. But don't feel too bad, because it was an African guy who helped the Lord with the cross. When you find out, it wasn't. It was. He was an Israelite, right? Right, which the Lord is an Israelite, and the Lord who the world even called Jesus Christ, would look like, your cousin, your uncle, right? A so-called black man. Right? It says, and he said, "Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren." Right? Which that's what's going on now. Anytime someone needs to get resources from the earth, they're over there taking it out of them Canaanites, man. They're taking it out of the land of Africa. So at the end of the day, they're being a servant of servants, man. Right? And he said, "Blessed be Yahweh," right? Power of Shem. So the Lord gave, through Noah, gave the blessing to Shem. So that lineage that was going to come from is the lineage of Shem. The blessing. Which basically the Israelites are Shemites. Or Shemites. Right? Because we know that there's really no letter E. Right? In Hebrew. And Canaan shall be his servant. Right? See, because the only thing they ever came up with right? Since we created, we're the form of all things. So yeah, so this right here is a world without black people. It's a book called The World Without Black People, right? And it gives a brief mention of the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. It says, notice that we are the only people on the planet who are confused as to what to call ourselves. Black, colored, or negro, right? And which he shouldn't say we're the only ones who call ourselves. We're the, well, through ignorance, right? By allowing the so-called white man to call you this, to put the stigma upon you, and to basically through ignorance carry it on. Yeah, you're calling yourself that, right? That's what you said. Through the ignorance, we call ourselves black, colored, or negro, which is all basically a color. Negro in Spanish would be black, and then colored is just talking about a color, and then black in itself is just a color. It's not a nationality. Does not this designate nationality, right? So basically the same thing. Yeah, it doesn't give you a nationality, right? It's not a nationality yet. That is what we call ourselves, just as the scriptures predicted. Someone is walking around with the Israelites' identity, right? You know, you got Revelations 2 and 9, Revelations 3 and 9, right? I know the blasphemy of them who would say they are Jews and are not, right? So we know that you have to take accountability that there's someone walking around the earth calling themselves Jews and are not. By saying Jews, you're saying you're an Israelite, right? Because it's one of the 12 tribes, right? So it says, and which another thing that don't fit, because they will basically be saying that they're the Jews that's left there, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. But even Judah, Benjamin, and Levi had got scattered out of there, right? Got taken out of the land due to 70 AD, right? So the you know, because though the Northern Kingdom left a long time ago, you know, thousands of years prior to that, you know, and they came to Arzareth, which even what's his name, Cristobal Colon, or what they call Columbus, right, knew to come through the scriptures, through the Bible, right? He knew how to get to this side of the world. He knew that this place existed, right? And then they notify that, they recognize that place, identify that place as what? America, right? It says as scriptures predicted someone walking around with the Israelites' identity, I tried to explain the truth of our identity to a few Israelites with little success, right? Which, if you had a little success, you had all this success, because the Lord's only dealing with the elect, man, right? Only dealing with the elect. Let me show what the Bible dictionary say. Ham. So you're talking about the Bible dictionary on Ham, page 213, Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary on page 213. The youngest son of Noah, born 96 years before the flood, one of the 8 persons to live through the flood, he became the progenitor. Progenitor means father of the dark races, right? Which there's plenty of other dark races, right? The only one who's not dark, who don't have people from dark to light, is Esau, Edom, right? The self-proclaimed so-called white man, the one the Lord said that he came out red all over like a hairy garment, right? The only one that doesn't have dark. So even though the Chinese and all these different places, you watch it on TV and you watch, and all they show is these real almost pale-looking Chinese people and these other people who's, you know what I mean? You go to these places especially India, and there's some people that's darker than your average so-called Negro, right? So it's foolish to just say dark races, because it wouldn't be. It'd just be of the Hamitic races, right? Which those happen to be dark people. So the dark races, but they're gonna make a distinguishing between, right, between that and the what and not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, the Libyans, and Canaanites. And these are scholars, man. Right? To let you know. But then you got the narrative of white people, and I guess you can call, they say they're scholars, right? That will say that the African American fits the thing from Canaan. That you're Canaanites, right? But according to this is saying you're not Canaanites. So it says, but not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, the Libyans and Canaanites. If Ham is not the father of the Negroes, right? Which right here says you're the only people who are called by this name, and then and even called yourself by these names. So if Ham is not the father of the Negroes, who was advertised as slaves and sold as such? Man, who are these people? Because now you got to start thinking. Now you're forced into a corner to go, wait a minute, man. There's somebody walking around saying that they're Jews, but they're not. Wait a minute. Here it is that these people say that we're Canaanites, but this Zondervan and Compact Bible say that all these other people are of Ham, but not the Negro. Now you're forced into a corner. Now you gotta be thinking upon your toes. So who are these people who advertise as slaves? So when it said Hebos to Negroes, right? And Hebos going into being back to what Hebrew, right? Because we're the Hebrew people. And it was Hebrews for slaves. Then they went to Hebos, and then they went to Negroes, right? For sale, right? As such, who is his father? Could it be Shem or Shum? Because really, remember, the Negroes were sold as slaves, not Hamites, right? And Africans, right? So, and not Africans, right? Yeah, so this is mdi.com. If you want to look it up, it's about the Bible, race, and racism, right? It's MDPI, Salakia. But it says the blessing of whiteness, right? Dealing with the self-proclaimed so-called white man, and where they get their racial excuse from, right? And it says, in the curse of Ham, read Genesis 9, chapter 9, verse 18 through 19 in the antebellum South, right? Dealing with those Southerners of so-called white supremacy, right? And it says, this is an easy examples. The antebellum history of interpretation surrounds the curse of Ham in Genesis chapter 9, verses 18 through 29. It explores how modern notions of scientific racism were read into the story as a de facto justification for the transatlantic slave trade, right? Yeah, and the institutions of slavery in the antebellum South, however, more than supply being used as a proof text for racist agendas, the curse of Ham provided a biblical foil for scripting a racial hierarchy where whiteness was positioned as superior in the figure of Japhet by considering key features of the racist antebellum interpretation. I argue that the pro-slavery rationalization of Christians antebellum writers is rooted in the rationalized whiteness, deracialized whiteness that was biblically produced and blessed with divine authority. Salakia. So they saying they got this because of the curse of Cain, that they got this divine authority to put you so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Indians into slavery, especially the so-called black man. And that way they could do it and they could push it, and they can make movies, they could do things, and they could just, continually make it look like, you're just the bottom, right? So it says, that's good enough. Yeah, so this is Genesis 19 and 1. And there came two angels to Sodom at evening, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom, and Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them. So he rushed over there to meet the angels. And he bowed himself with his face towards the ground. And he said, Behold, now my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early, and go on your ways. Right? So he must have just figured these were just men of the Lord. I think he didn't. I don't even know if Lot realized that these were angels. He just figured they were men of the Lord. So he was just, bringing them in as men of the Lord. Like, don't want them to be out there with them degenerates that's in Sodom. So it says, come in, wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early and go on your ways. And they said, Nay, but we will abide in the street all night. And he pressed, so Lot's like, he pressed upon them greatly. Like he said, man, Lord, please, lords, hey, just come this way hey, go this way, because y'all holy men, y'all need to come up over it, because this is not the place to be for like, holy men. In the sense, like, that's why, he was pressing upon them. Just kept on saying, hey, man, you got to come to my house. Come on, come on, come on. I got food. I got things to wash your feet. You can rest. You can, take a load off, please. It's my pleasure to take you to my house, just kind of iterating like how you would really try to get someone to come to your house. Like, hey, man, I got you, I'll take care of you. So it says, and it says, and they turned, right, after he pressed them greatly, they turned unto him and entered into his house and made them a feast. See, he's like, hey, man, I got you. Made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. Right? See, this is basically like the first Passover, if you know the whole full story, because these angels were here to deliver Lot, right, from a set judgment that the Lord already had upon Sodom and Gomorrah. Basically the 5 cities that were around about them. Let's see. And they did eat, but before they laid down, right? See, so they really did. They really came in, washed their feet, ate. They're going to actually just lay down and go to sleep. That was going to be just a quiet night. They went to lay down to go to sleep. The men of the city, even the men of Sodom, right? Because you had Gomorrah, you had all these other places, and they must have heard. Man, you didn't see them fine, sexy men. These men there was something incredible about them, right? These are men that's just turned on by men. They seen these angels, they probably look like this, like, turned these dudes on, they came to the door, man. Right? They like, I ain't never seen a man look that good, right? So they came, even the men of Sodom compassed the house round, both old and young. So say, hey, man, this thing, the word went around town, man, that even the old and the young came to Lot's house. Like, man, it was these dudes, and they was fine. God damn. Oh shit, Moism, man, all this debauchery, all the people from every quarter, right? So maybe there was even more people from even the other surrounding cities, a little surrounding places. They all came over there, like it's people from everywhere, from every quarter, and they called unto Lot and said unto him, where are the men which came into thee this night? So, man, what happened to them fine ass? God dang. Hey, but this is the thing that these so-called self-proclaimed white man wants to perpetuate you with, because these are Canaanites, man. This is debauchery. This is sodomy. And that's what they want to. This is Black Lives Matter. They're saying this is okay. Right? It says, this night, bring them out unto us. Right now, and here it is, that we may know them. And about when it say to know them, right, or know her in the Bible, it's talking about sex. So they want to know these men sexually. They want to know them. So this is the debauchery that they want to have you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians acquainted with. And it's like I said, especially the African American man. Why? Because you look the most like Yahweh Shai. You look the most like the power that they hate the most, and they know what the Lord looks like, man. Right? Yeah. So this is Matthew chapter 10, verse 1. It says, and when he called unto him his 12 disciples, he gave them power, right, against unclean spirits to cast them out, and to heal all manners of sickness and all manners of diseases, right? And then it basically goes into the names of the disciples, and basically the apostles, basically saying who these apostles are. And it says, now the names of the 12 apostles are these. The first, Simon, who is called Peter, right? Separating it. But I'm just, and then it goes through all the other names, and I'm just going to skip down to number 4, and because it's another Simon, Simon the Canaanite. So you can't allow people just to throw a thing on you, because why? He's amongst his people. He knows he's an Israelite. The Lord himself said salvation is of the Jews. So what in the world is Simon the Canaanite doing amongst these Israelites where salvation is of the Jews? Why? Because he's an Israelite. He's what they would so-called call a Jew at that time. I don't know if he was Judah, Benjamin, or Levi, but he would be known as a Jew in that particular time period, right? So he's amongst his people. You know, and this is Judas Iscariot, who also portrayed him, right? Which Judas Iscariot was an Israelite, right? Right? He betrayed the Lord, but he still was an Israelite. He was amongst his people, man. Right? It says these 12 Yahushai sent forth, right? See? So it explains that even basically even Judas, even though he betrayed the Lord still considered him an apostle. Right? That would basically mean that he was an apostle. If you're reading that, right? So even Judas Iscariot was an apostle. It means to be what? Sent away, right? So hey, so he got sent away. So and then these 12 Yahushai sent forth, right? And commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles. So then here it is, this guy who's called Simon the Canaanite, he's telling them don't go to the Gentiles, which Canaanites are Gentiles. So who is this guy? You can't allow these things, connotations, to be sat upon you and just accept what they say. And now you're African American. Now you're all these things, man. You're the alphabet community. You're just accepting whatever status quo your enemy gives you, man. Black, negro, right? Latino, all these Indian. You're just accepting what they throw to you, man. That's just ridiculous and nonsense. Then these 12 Yahushua sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles, and enter into go not in the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not. Because who's at Samaria? Canaanites. So he said, don't go over there. Right? It says, so this is 2 Kings chapter 17, verse 23, until Yahweh removed Israel out of his sight, as he had said by all his servants the prophets, right? Because the prophets are there to warn, right? Just like we're here to warn now, man. The exact same thing. So was Israel carried away out of their own land. So this is their land. So pay attention. It's their land. To Assyria unto this day. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon, from Kata, which basically means Cush, basically. Kata is basically Cush, and Avan, and from Hamath, which basically is, so it's basically saying Canaanites. Is another way of saying Canaanites, right? And from Sepharim, and place them in the city of Samaria. So in the Israelites' land, they put. So this is why the Lord said, "Enter not into that land. Don't go talk to them Canaanites. Don't go talk to them heathens." Right?
instead of the children of Israel, right? Exactly. Man, you can't. They put the heathens there instead of the children of Israel. So why would the Lord, who said salvation is of the Jews, or the salvation is basically of the Israelites, why would he say go? He said enter ye not Samaria, right? Because guess who's there? Heathens. Yeah, instead of the children of Israel, and they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof, right? So that's why the Lord said enter into not, right? Yeah, so this, yeah, so like I said, that Hamet, or Hametith, Hamet, the Hamethites Knights is mentioned in Genesis 10:18 among the sons of Canaan. See, that's the thing they want to give you. They want to mention you among the Canaanites, but hey, Simon was named Simon the Canaanite, but he was definitely not a Canaanite, and that's you. You so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, especially you so-called African Americans, who they mostly want to pin that upon. You're not a Canaanite, you're an Israelite, right? Yeah. So, hey, man, wait a minute. Yeah. So, and the Avidite, if I'm saying it right, and the Zeramaites, and the Hammonites, right? And afterwards were the families, what? The families of the Canaanites, which that's what they're trying to give you, so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, trying to say that you're the Canaanites, and this is the reason why they were able to do the transatlantic slave trade, the reason why you could be part of the LGBT community, because that all belongs to you, right? Spread abroad, right? It says, and the borders, right, of the Canaanites was from Zidon, as thus camest to Gerar unto Gaza, as thus goeth unto what? Sodom. These are freaking Canaanites, man. And that's what they're trying to give you, sodomy, man. They're trying to just wrap you all up into sodomy, and that you're the Canaanites, and that this is a good reason why you could just be under the self-proclaimed so-called white man's thumb. And then they want to, was it some, I don't know, let's say George Soros or whatever it is, Edomite, which is a Jewish person, is funding Black Lives Matter. So your enemy is funding Black Lives Matter. So you think that's a legitimate organization that's fit for you? You mean that they're giving you this Canaanite spirit with the Canaanite haircuts, which is all unlawful unto the Most High Yahweh Bashim Shai. Got two lesbian chicks running it when, first of all, a woman in itself should not be ruling over men, but then two lesbian women, man, the thing is way out of control, right? So that's the thing. They want to use Sodom and Gomorrah, and it says Adamah and Zarabah, even unto Lish, right? So this basically, hey, the Lord is beautiful, because I've always knew that that goddamn Sodom and Gomorrah were Canaanites. But the Lord just showed me and proved to me right here that these dudes, they were Canaanites, man. And this is the thing that they want to give you, so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians. So with all that, I want to give all praises and all honor and all glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. Salutations to the Akim and the four ones, preaching the truth of sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect. The elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom. To you sisters, you Akwathium, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. Hey, and a Bible ball.